After turning down countless head coaching jobs 2 years in a row, it seems almost destined that Ben Johnson, after turning around Jared Goff's career and the Lions offense, will finally take a head coaching gig this offseason. Johnson will be the most coveted head coaching candidate the NFL has seen in a long time. The Jacksonville Jaguars recently fired Doug Peterson after a very disappointing 3 seasons, and look, the Jaguars are not in a good place right now. Trevor Lawrence, the man that was supposed to be the second coming of Peyton Manning, the savior of the Jaguars, has just not been good enough. He's had one playoff win, and if it hadn't been for the Chargers and Brandon Staley's complete incompetence and not being able to close out a game, he would not even have that. 69 touchdowns to 46 interceptions, a record of 22-38. Trevor Lawrence needs a change, and it has to start this year with the head coach. Urban Meyer created so many problems and so many bad habits that we are seeing right now with Trevor Lawrence, and let's face it, Doug Peterson wasn't equipped to fix many of those problems. So the Jaguars cannot miss on this one if they want Trevor Lawrence to remain a Jaguar. They have had 5 head coaches in 13 years. They need to go with the offensive young star that's turning his team around. You cannot go with a former head coach in this situation. As much as I love Pete Carroll, he's not going to work with Trevor Lawrence in this situation. Lawrence needs a career turnaround. He needs a younger guy that he can relate with, and I believe out of all the teams with head coach openings, Jacksonville is one of the most attractive for a guy like Ben Johnson, and it makes a lot of sense that he would want to come coach Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. You get a quarterback with an insane amount of potential and a future star at the wide receiver position in Brian Thomas Jr. Now, is this team a coach away from the playoffs? Absolutely not. We're not looking at this like Jim Harbaugh last year when he joined the Chargers. No. We're looking at this team long term, building the Jaguars where they could be a playoff team in 2 to 3 seasons. Ben Johnson would turn this offense around in 1 year, just like he did in Detroit. He would be able to work with Trevor Lawrence and mold him into the franchise quarterback that he was brought to be. And for those saying he can't do that, Trevor is a bust. There's no coming back. It's too far gone. Do you not see what's going on with Jared Goff in Detroit right now? Jared Goff under Ben Johnson has gone from a quarterback many saw as below average to now a guy who throws for 4,600 yards and 37 touchdowns, leading the most explosive offense in the league. Ben Johnson has created the most quarterback-friendly system in the NFL with an emphasis on the run game, RPOs, and simply adapting to the quarterback's strengths. You can make the argument that the Jaguars have that 2-back system like Detroit right now with Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby. I believe Bigsby is going to be the better running back at this point, but don't give up on Etienne yet. After all, this is a man who before this year had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, considered a top back in the league. So under Ben Johnson, you know he'd bring the same Sonic and Knuckles running back set like he has in Detroit with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Now, it's not all good for Johnson, as the defense is absolutely atrocious, ranked 31st in total yards per game. Only my Carolina Panthers, who gave up the most points in NFL history, have a worse defense. I don't know what Ben Johnson would look like controlling the defense, but if Johnson is hired in Jacksonville, it will be critical who he hires as his defensive coordinator, because this defense needs serious reform in the draft. I think Ben Johnson understands that, but the problem is you can't go all in on defense because the offense is just average, ranked 25th in yards per games. Take Brian Thomas out of it, and Trevor Lawrence doesn't have a reliable guy. Gabe Davis can't be that. Evan Ingram can't be that. There needs to be another reliable go-to guy to pair alongside Brian Thomas for Trevor Lawrence. The foundation of a great franchise is a great players-first head coach and a franchise quarterback. Ben Johnson can save this team. He can save this franchise if management allows him to do his thing, allow him to mold Trevor Lawrence. I believe the Jaguars need to give the entire bag to bring Ben Johnson to Jacksonville.